The National Association of Immigration Judges is warning of an escalating effort to dismantle the immigration court system. The union says the Trump administration fired more than a dozen immigration judges last weekend without cause, and that's while immigration courts are facing a backlog of more than 3 million cases. IFPTE Union President Matt Biggs is here for more on that. Hi, Matt. Thanks for coming on. I know your union represents at least 128 immigration judges who've been fired here, or they took an early out offer, or they were involuntarily transferred since the president took office. So you say that whole picture is putting these courts under pressure. What does that look like? What does that pressure mean on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate being on. Yeah, we represent what were 700 immigration judges nationwide when President Trump came into office on January 20th. Since then, 128 judges are gone. We've gone from 700 to below 600 immigration judges. Of the 128 that have either been fired or taken a separation incentive to leave, or just left on their own, 82 of them have been fired, and the other, you can do the math, the other 40 or so were pushed out. But when you consider each immigration judge on average handles 500 to 700 cases a year, you can do the math. This administration has increased the already huge backlog of cases in the immigration courts, which currently, last time I saw, stands at 3.4 million case backlog.
Now, we've asked the Department of Homeland Security for comment on this. We haven't heard back yet. Advocates say this seems to be running counter to the Trump administration's focus on immigration and deportations. So what have you heard from former judges about why they think they were dismissed?
Well, you know, from what we can see, most of the judges that have been fired, by the way, not for misconduct, not for calls, they've just been fired. So these are illegal firings. Many of the judges are challenging them, just to be clear. But if you look at it, most of these judges that have been fired were hired between 2021 and 2024. It appears to be a politically motivated firing by the Trump administration of judges that were hired during the Biden administration. It's outrageous. It's ridiculous. You know, these judges, you know, that it's required that they have 7-year experience, either in immigration law or administrative law. It's a grueling process to be able to get these jobs. These judges, whether you're on the far right or far left, they make decisions based on the law and nothing else. And to fire these judges during this time, it makes no sense. It's also hypocritical for this president to fire judges. He campaigned on strict enforcement of immigration laws, and then he turns around and starts firing judges. You know, it really makes no sense whatsoever.
The Trump administration has loosened requirements, so temporary immigration judges no longer need experience in immigration law. The Pentagon has said it's in the process of identifying military judge advocates and civilian attorneys who can work as temporary judges. Is that helping to relieve that backlog?
No, it won't help to relieve the backlog. It's only going to increase the backlog. And with all due respect to our JAG lawyers in the military, we certainly respect their service to the nation and to the military. They are not qualified to hear these cases. Like I said, these are skilled immigration lawyers and lawyers that have experience with administrative law. Many of these immigration judges, some of them are actually veterans themselves. But these, you know, immigration law is a very, very complicated area of the law. And handling these cases it's not like going to traffic court. You know, these judges make decisions that a lot of times are life and death decisions. If they have to decide to deport somebody based on the law, they are sending them back, in some cases, to a very, very dangerous situation. They also, it's important to note, they also hear cases of little children, infant children, that don't have their parents there, that don't have a lawyer necessarily, and they hear those cases, if you can imagine that. They know how to handle difficult situations, trying situations, and you just can't, you know, go out on the street and find somebody to do these jobs. This is a very complicated area of the law. And furthermore, immigrants, whether this administration likes it or not, immigrants in this country are entitled to due process. And when they don't get a fair shake from an independent judge in the immigration court, they are being denied due process.
The Executive Office for Immigration Review says immigration law experience is not always a strong predictor of success as an immigration judge. And they say they've hired judges without experience who've become successful and exemplary. So what's your response to that?
Sure, they have. And the requirements before Pam Bondi decided she was going to decide who's qualified or not. The requirements were, a judge had to have, to be hired into this job, you need 7 years of experience in immigration law or administrative law. So what EOR, Executive Office of Immigration Review, is saying, they're giving a simplistic response because they want to move forward a political agenda of this administration. And for Pam Bondi to be the Attorney General, all due respect, to decide whether someone's qualified or not is absolutely ridiculous.
So what's your biggest concern when it comes to these firings, and what are you watching for next?
Well, the biggest concern is due process. I'll just narrow it down to due process. If this administration is allowed and permitted to deny due process protections to immigrants, it's not a stretch for them, the next step, to deny due process to American citizens. Immigrants are entitled to their day in court. These immigration judges, they render decisions, like I said, based on the law, and that's not, and that protects both the immigrant and American citizens. And we should not be watering down this process just because we have a president that, in his zeal to deport as many people as possible, this is un-American.
All right, IFPTE President Matt Biggs, we appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.